Hi guys, Bláithín here from A Style of Living, and as I'm sure you've guessed from the title of this video, today I'm going to be talking about the sucky side of being pregnant. For those of you who don't know, I am 27 weeks tomorrow pregnant, hence the shortness of breath. And I should probably say before I get into this video that there are some people who will probably immediately go to comment once they see the title and think, oh, you should be very grateful to be pregnant. There are thousands of women worldwide who would give their eye teeth to be in your position. And I know this because I was one of those thousands of women for basically all of my life. And I have buried 2 babies in the last 18 months. So I am unbelievably grateful and thrilled to be pregnant. That doesn't make it any less suckier or my feelings or experience any less valid. So I just kind of want to put it out there. My reason for making this video is since first getting pregnant almost 2 years ago for the first time, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos on pregnancy and, you know, nursery setups, all of that sort of fun content that people are creating. And one thing kind of stuck out to me was that in them the people always seem to be doing loads and getting loads done and so happy, and you know, which just was at complete odds to my experience being pregnant. And I'd watch people do like all day clean with me's while pregnant, heavily pregnant, and I would think, oh my gosh, I'm only a few weeks pregnant and I can't, you know, even imagine attempting that. So I kind of was discussing this with my husband and another good friend, Laura, from How to Get Your Shit Together, and sort of saying that, you know, should I make this video, shouldn't I? And in the end I sort of felt, do you know what, I'm going to make this video for the minority or majority of people who feel the way I do, so that they know they're not alone, and that maybe I will be able to give them some tips or share some experiences of things that might help. So as I mentioned, I'm 27 weeks pregnant tomorrow. This is my 3rd pregnancy. Unfortunately, both my previous pregnancies ended in preterm labor. My first daughter, Riley, was born at 17 weeks and 1 day, and she lived for just a few minutes. My second daughter, Sophia, was born at 23 weeks and 3 days, and she lived for a month. And that's all happened inside of the past 18 months. So it's been a whirlwind of emotions and things that have happened, and I've talked more about that in other videos, so I won't go into it too much here. So I've made a list. I'm old school paper and pen list, and so I'm going to talk about things that have helped me in not just this pregnancy. All of my pregnancies have pretty much been the same, sort of at the start. Obviously I haven't reached full term yet in any of them. So I'm going to start off with a kind of a big one. And the reason I'm going to start off with this one is because it will take a while to, or at least it took me a while to accept this. My first trimester, actually up until about 18 weeks of pregnancy, can only be described as utterly horrendous. I have no energy. I am unbelievably sick, as in nauseous, not as in vomiting. I have no motivation, and like some days lifting my head off the pillow is just as much as I can bear. I should mention that I am in the extremely lucky position that I don't currently work. Because of our history, and that I have largely ended up in hospital for most of my pregnancies or been on bed rest, my husband and I took the decision that because we were hoping and planning to get pregnant this year, as in 2019, that I would not look for a job. I retired from my career in order to go for fertility treatment. In the end, that wasn't required. A month before I retired, we discovered I was pregnant. And that's sort of how this whole story started, in a way. So I genuinely don't know how people who are in full-time employment or part-time or any kind of employment, or who have children, cope when pregnant. Honestly, I don't, because I cannot even imagine it. But the one thing that I'm going to start off with, the big kahuna one, is to accept your energy and motivation level for that day. I am normally a hugely productive, energetic person when it comes to work. I work very hard, I rest very hard, and I play very, very hard. But generally speaking, I get a lot done in a day when I'm not pregnant. And as soon as I'm pregnant, it's like a switch. It's like my brain turns off, my body shuts down, and it goes into this almost like cocoon mode of everything we must do now focuses on growing this baby. And to accept that I wasn't going to get things done, and I mean basic things, I'm not talking anything huge here, was really difficult for me. So that's why I want to talk about that first. So for those of you who are having terrible pregnancies, whether it be first, second, third trimester, or all of them, just accept your energy and motivation level for that day. The next thing is, and this kind of took me a while to discover, and it's going to seem a little gross, but every day, regardless of how you're feeling, how crappy you're feeling, how awful you're feeling, wash your face, brush your teeth, and moisturize daily. Even though for me, brushing my teeth was a big challenge because it would make me gag horrendously. Thankfully, that has somewhat passed, but it's still kind of there. But I do those three things daily, every day, while pregnant. And I know that kind of seems like, oh my god, so there were days that you weren't doing that. Genuinely, I was so sick and so tired. The thoughts of doing it was too much for me. The third thing is choose one frog for that day. So we've all heard about the concept of eat your frog, eat your biggest challenge or job or task for that day. When you're pregnant, doing one thing a day can in some ways take the day, because the energy it takes for you to do that just knocks you out for the day. And what I mean by this is, my to-do list for a day might be to put on a wash, or to sweep the floor, or to iron something. And that would be it. That would be the sum total of what I might achieve for the day. And I think when you accept your energy and motivation levels for that day, when you get to that level of acceptance, and you decide, okay, today I'm going to do this. And when you've done that, you feel amazing. And sometimes that's enough. In fact, that's more than enough when you're growing a baby. The next thing is learn to let go. I have had to learn to let go of so many things, as in things that aren't going to get done, things that I simply cannot do myself, or things that my husband or friends or family might do on my behalf, but that aren't what I would do or to the level I would do. You just gotta learn to let go. I'm told that once the kiddies arrive, that you have to learn to let go of a lot of things because things change, your life evolves, you know, and so we might as well practice doing that now while we're pregnant. And it does help a great deal. It removes the stress that we sort of almost, in a sense, self-imply on ourselves, and it makes you feel better. And right now, I'm all about anything that makes me feel better. Number 5, make lists. Because largely up until about 3-4 weeks ago, when I was about 23 weeks pregnant, I was largely unable to do anything. Like, other than that one frog a day, that was it. And so I would make lists and lists and lists. Lists of things that I needed other people to do, lists of things that we needed to buy for the baby or the house, lists of things that we needed to do in preparation for the baby. Sorry. And these lists were my hope for the future of being able to do them, or trying to figure out how they would get done in time for the baby. Be selfish and put yourself and the baby first. As I mentioned, I have the luxury of my time being my own, and if I spent all day in bed, it really didn't affect anybody. My husband is unbelievably good and supportive, and obviously because of the history that we have shared in losing our 2 girls, we're all about whatever I need and whatever the baby needs. And so some days, yeah, he comes home and the house is in a heap and the rubbish needs to go out and I haven't gotten to put on dinner, and he's so good and being okay about that. And it took me a while to accept that, to be that little bit more selfish. But sometimes you gotta do, or you gotta not do, what's right for you, because right now your body is just doing something amazing, but it is taking all of you to do that amazing thing. Number 7 is to treat yourself weekly. So my big craving for my pregnancy is food from like a takeaway diner place here in Ireland called Eddie Rockets. Oh my god, if I could have that for breakfast, lunch and dinner every single day, I would. Obviously, it's takeaway food, and so I'm not going to do that for breakfast, lunch and dinner, when it would be hugely expensive, and 2, probably extremely unhealthy for the large part. But what we do is every Friday we have Eddie Rockets. Basically my husband comes home. We don't actually even have one local to us. Nobody delivers to us, and he drives 15 minutes each way to go and get my takeaway for me. See how good he is? But that is my one big treat for myself, and I look forward to that every Friday. And more recently, as we have reached viability for our baby, another kind of weekly treat that I have started is one of those lists that I was making was a baby wish list on Amazon. So I would put the things I would really like to buy that I found on Amazon into this baby wish list. And now every Friday, what I do is I go in and I buy a couple of things on the wish list as a treat. I suppose more so for the baby because they're baby things, but it gives me such joy to be able to go, okay, it's Friday, and I roll over to a new week every Friday, and to celebrate that, we buy a couple of things for the baby. So it's a really nice treat, and it's something I look forward to every week. On a Thursday night, my husband and I will sit down and we'll kind of choose a couple of things that we want to buy from the list, and the following day I will buy them, and then they arrive throughout the week of the next week, and it's so great. It's almost like Christmas every day. A couple of packages arrive and I get to open them and put them in the nursery for the baby. Number 8 is one that I had trouble with, and when I thought about it, I realized it's something I used to do for my friend when she was pregnant, is accept and ask for help. As I mentioned, I am normally a big productive person and I love to get things done. And the idea of having somebody or asking somebody for help, like for cleaning the house or walking the dog or whatever it might be, was just a little bit like I felt, oh gosh, this is not embarrassing, but I did feel I don't want to put the people out. And I thought about it and I realized a very long time ago, because most of my friends have had their babies and they're all grown up and some are even teenagers and finishing school. So I'm kind of late to the game in terms of, you know, my close friends. But years ago, when a very good friend of mine was pregnant with her second child, she's a bit like me in that she's, we call her a bit of a Monica. Super clean, super organized, loves everything in its place. But when she was pregnant, she had a really difficult time with smells. Smells affected her hugely. So cleaning products or like bad smells, anything like that, she just smelt it from a distance. And you would walk into a room and she'd go, oh my God, do you smell X, Y, and Z? And you're like, no. But obviously it was a pregnancy symptom she had. And one of the big things she couldn't do was clean her kitchen. And so I would go over to her regularly to clean her kitchen for her. She literally couldn't bring herself to pour the disinfectant or whatever it was. And for some reason, she could constantly smell her sink. Now, her sink did not smell at all. I can promise you that. But she could smell something. And so regularly I would go over and I would help her, not only with the kitchen, whatever she might need on that particular day or week. And I sort of, not force that on her, but she would sort of like, not complain about it, but she would go, oh my God, I just can't do this, it's driving me insane. And I said, well, I'll come do it with you. And initially she was hesitant. And then she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. So it makes such a big difference to her. And for me, it's just a short period of time, you know, where I'm helping her out. So accept and ask for help in whatever you might need help for. The next tip is number 9, is to put together your basket. So when you're pregnant, everything is uncomfortable. And I personally largely spend most of my time in or on my bed. Sitting like this, it's okay for short periods of time. I can now stand a little bit more, but at the start of my pregnancy, I had terrible problems with my pelvis and my hips and my knees. It's gotten a little bit better now, but I would spend most of the time either in bed or lounging on my bed, doing whatever or visiting with whomever. And what I started to do was to put together a basket or a box of everything that I needed. So large canisters of water, Gaviscon, you know, some reading material, my moisturizer for my belly because gosh, it gets itchy sometimes with all the stretching. Basically, whatever comforts you need, put them in the basket. And the reason I say basket is that way, if you do move to another part of the house or you go outside or whatever you might be doing, you can take it with you. So you have all your comfort items with you all of the time, easy access. Or if you are downstairs and you're like, oh God, I want X, Y, and Z, you can just say to whomever, would you run upstairs and get me my basket? It makes life so much easier. Number 10, let your emotions flow. I have cried over the most randomest of things in the last 6 months. Being pregnant, definitely you have no control over your body or your emotions. Let them flow. Whatever you're feeling, feel it. The one thing I will say to you though is stand your ground. The big sort of no for me in pregnancy has been strangers or even friends and family coming up and touching my bump. I kind of exploded outward quite quickly, and people just felt it was perfectly fine to touch me unintended. And so this freaked me out because, like, you know, I'm a hugger, but that's different. Touching my belly is a little bit too intimate. Perfectly fine with my husband James doing it, absolutely, but no, unless you've asked me and I've said yes, don't do it. And so I have started touching, if they do it to me, I start touching their bellies back, and they get the message very quickly, because that's an even weirder thing to do, is to touch somebody else's belly when they have no baby at all, especially if they're not, you know, completely happy with the belly situation. But yeah, so definitely let your emotions flow, but don't sort of, you know, let go of other things as well. 11, and this is a big one for me, and probably more so because of my history than just being pregnant, is I have literally eliminated as much as I can all negativity from my life. Obviously with my history, having buried 2 babies in the last 18 months, the propensity while pregnant to think the worst all of the time is never far from my mind. But I really focus on staying positive, trusting in the procedures that I've had and the amazing doctors that I work with, in what I'm doing, what my husband's doing. But to help with that, I have literally, I don't watch the news, read newspapers. I really largely stay off a lot of social media because I can find that can be quite negative as well. I have cut any negative people from my life. I don't watch anything scary or slightly negative or anyway dark on the television or on YouTube or anything like that. I really keep everything very light, positive, and I have found that has helped me immensely. Number 12. So on a quick sort of follow-up to cut the negativity is do things that make you happy, or at the very least less miserable. So for me, they can be like simple things like having your nails painted, or, you know, making sure your legs are always shaved, which is an event when you're pregnant, especially as you get larger and your center of gravity changes and you can't really bend over and all of those kind of new fun experiences. But yeah, do things that make you happy or at least less miserable. Whether that's simply moisturizing, having your favorite fruit juice in the fridge, whatever that might be for you, just try and do something that makes you feel a little bit better. I won't say like yourself, because that's not going to happen for a while yet, I'm told. 13, and this can kind of follow on the back of do things that make you happy, is teach your partner to help you. So as I mentioned, I had a lot of problems with my hips, my pelvis, and my knees. So very early on, I couldn't put my underwear on. I couldn't put trousers on myself. There was no way socks were getting on. I'm so lucky in one way that I am pregnant through the summer, that I don't really have to wear socks that much. And I've worn a huge amount of maxi dresses just because they are the easiest thing for me to get on and off. But James has been incredible. He has learnt how to paint my nails for me. He has learnt how to shave my legs. In my first pregnancy, I invested in an electric razor, and he has learned how to use that. He now pretty much exclusively is the person who takes care of grooming down there. which initially did kind of gross me out, but look, the man loves me, so, and he is more than willing to help where he can because he can see what I'm going through. So, but yeah, you might not want to go to that level with your partner, but teach them to help you in whatever ways that really support and do help you. 14, I'm such a big believer in this one. It has helped me so much. Mentally prepare yourself. So mentally prepare yourself for the different stages of pregnancy, for labor and delivery, but also don't fixate on perfect scenarios. And the reason I'm going to say that is because obviously neither of my previous births have been perfect scenarios. Both have been emergency situations. Thankfully, I was in hospital for both of them already. This one will be a section regardless. I'm hoping it will be a... That's Sasha. Shh. I'm hoping it will be on a planned, scheduled date, but regardless of when I go into labor, it will be a section. So prepare yourself mentally for eventualities. Think them through in your mind. Hypnobirthing is an amazing thing. I think every woman should look into, most definitely. And meditating really does kind of help to calm you. So if you haven't already explored either of those two things, I thoroughly suggest you look into them at the very least. And finally, I'm going to end on this one, is to write a journal, even if it's all about how crap you're feeling. And I have a small little journal, it's a pregnancy journal, to record different things. And I love this particular one because it's not a blank journal. It has the same prompts for every week. And it just helps me to record. And as I look back over it, I can actually see as things started to slightly improve for me, or that not every single week was as bad as I feel it has been. And I think that's important for your own psyche, especially if you are considering another future pregnancy as well. So yeah, they are, what are we at? 16 things that hopefully you can do to make yourself feel just a little bit better while your pregnancy sucks. I will say for me right now, the last 3 or 4 weeks compared to the first 23 weeks have been amazing. I have energy, I have been able to do a little bit more, I haven't felt as nauseous, and over the last week or two my hips have been reasonably good. So I've gotten to use all those lists and the preparation I did when honestly it was horrendous. Really, you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The start of every single one of my pregnancies has been awful, and that has nothing to do with my situation with pre-prom labors or being a high-risk pregnancy. Completely separate. This was just normal pregnancy symptoms that I had. If it was in the book, I had it, and I just seem to really have it. I hope some of you have found this video useful. If you are having a horrendous pregnancy and you want some support, please do leave some comments below. Obviously I'm going to respond to you, and I'm hoping others who are experiencing similar will get involved as well. So whether this video has just gone up and you've seen it, or if it's months or years gone and you've just found it because you're having a tough time, please do leave a comment below and share your experience. You are not alone. It's one thing I kind of felt like I was alone. Everybody else seemed to be having a great time and I just wasn't. But yeah, So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, not every video is going to be about pregnancy here, but if you like what you see, please do subscribe. My channel is all about sort of lifestyle, so cooking, cleaning, the home, you know, really whatever takes my fancy. And obviously as this little one grows and grows and grows, there will be a little bit more sort of mummy stuff, hopefully too. So again, thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you next week. I think my next video is going to be the most delicious scones, easy peasy scones. I personally love them, and yeah, so that's gonna be it's a cook with me on easy peasy scones. So thanks again, and I shall see you next week. Bye.